The future is not something that we wait for. It's something that we create. So don't wait because the time is never just right. If you want to be a fluent English speaker in future, then the right time for you is now. I know you have a lot of regrets where you feel, I wish I had worked on my English during my school days, where English was a compulsory subject. I did not pay attention to grammar. I never really worked hard before the examination. I wish I had done that. Then I would have been able to speak in English now. But that time is gone. Yes, if you would have worked hard, things would have been different. But we cannot go back and change anything in that time. That time is passé. What is the right time? Now. Now promise yourself that you're not going to further delay working on your English speaking. You're definitely going to work on your English now. This year we have started a new year and this is first month of this year still going on. Let's take up this 4-week challenge and convert our basic English to a good, at least intermediate level English. I promise you that after 4 weeks you'll notice a drastic change in your English. So, hello, my dear learners. Welcome to a new session here at Skillfident with your mentor Namita. And today is the time when we are taking up a new a challenge to finally work on our English and not taking it any further to 2026 or 2027. We have to do it now. It is a 4-week challenge and we are going to lay down a plan. But if you are attending this session, then you must sit with a notebook, a diary, or a pen because whatever I upload here are serious English learning sessions. Whatever you get to attend, whichever session, if there are any free courses that you're attending, they're all coming out of a long experience. I am a qualified teacher and I've been teaching for many, many years now. Whatever I come here to help you follow the path of self learning comes out of a lot of online and offline classes that I've conducted. I know what kind of problems do learners face, and that's why I come here to tell you how to work on your English on your own. So, this 4-week challenge also we are going to take up on our own and we are going to fulfill it on our own. So, first of all, note down the date, today's date. I don't know when you're watching this video, but suppose if you're watching it on the 18th of January or 20th of January, or even if in February, note down that date. And from today's date itself, you're going to work on your English for next 4 weeks the way I tell you to do that. This plan is going to work for you no matter what your level is right now. If you're not being able to speak English in the correct format, like using the correct grammar, or you're not being able to use good vocabulary, you would be able to do everything by the end of this 1 month because we are going to cover up a lot of things during these 4 weeks. But you have to have that plan right in front of you. That's why I'm asking you to maintain a notebook and all 4 weeks, every day, this notebook should be right in front of you whenever you are practicing your English. My best wishes are with you. Let's begin our English speaking journey, 4 weeks challenge on a very positive note. I hope that you take it seriously and you work on it the way I have told you to. What we are going to do after you've noted down today's date, we are going to segregate all the 4 weeks in one week each. So let's talk about the first week task right now. The first week is going to be all about training your brain to speak in English naturally. When you try to speak in English, you make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes it's not grammatically correct. Sometimes you feel that you have just gone blank when you're trying to speak. Sometimes there are no words in your mouth. Sometimes you hesitate a lot. There is a lot of confusion in your head. So we have to firstly work on speaking in English naturally so that whatever we are speaking is correct. And how will we find these correct English sentences? We will find them by reading books or by reading articles. So, first week is all about immersing yourself into reading. I know when you listen to reading, you immediately want to leave. If you don't read now, you will forever have an excuse that this is something which I should have done in my school. I didn't do it, and now I'm suffering from a not so good English syndrome. You cannot skip the reading part. If you have such a aversion to reading books, you can simply Google some articles. You can open any website where you find good content that interests you. So find your interest area first. If you love reading more about finances, find content related to some financial knowledge in English. If you're interested to read about cooking, recipes, ingredients, find similar content which is written in English. If you're interested in dancing, if you're interested in traveling, whether you're interested in playing guitar, you have to find your interest and related text or books or articles. You have to read it every day. During the first week, you have to read for 20 minutes minimum. Every day, 20 minutes. Now, this is not going to be a regular reading. This reading has to be active reading. Active reading means where all your senses are involved. Your eyes are definitely looking at the text. You have to also involve your mouth and your tongue. Otherwise, how will we train this brain? Your mouth will speak the correct sentences that are written right in front of you. Speak all the sentences, they are all correct. So, when you're speaking the correct sentences, then you are helping your ears get used to listening to you speaking in correct English. Right now, your ears hear your hesitant voice, the voice which is not very confident. Right now, when you're reading correct English, your ears will get to listen to you speak correct English, and it will send those signals to your brain that, see, he or she is right now speaking good English. So your eyes are looking at the text, your mouth is reading the text, your ears are listening to the correct English. So this is how we are going to train our mind to speak English naturally. This should come naturally to you. Now, what's the use of this diary? Every day when you're reading for those 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour, wonderful. If you can do that, if you can leave yourself undistracted, then nothing like it. So after you have read or while you're reading, keep your diary by your side. Note down the important vocabulary, note down the phrases, note down the quotes, highlight some lines which have just touched your heart, something that you've loved. Keep noting it down. Everything should be recorded in the diary physically. You need to write down. This is how you're involving your touch sense as well. Make sure that you have a good collection of vocabulary by the end of this 1 week. Whenever you were reading something, you were noting down vocabulary, you were noting down some phrases, you were noting down some sentences which were good. Simply that. But you're actively involved in the process. So, first week is all about reading to train your mind to speak correct English naturally. I hope it is clear to you what you are supposed to do during this first week. To make it more simple for you, I am going to do a simple reading with all of you. Let's read one page from a book, all of us together. This is just a sample of how you're going to read during this first week. You're going to read along with me. You'll find the page here. But there are so many videos where I have read a lot of books. I will link those playlists here. You can simply go and start practicing over there for 7 days. You will find numerous sessions where I have done book readings. So you can do that. You can scroll through my channel and you'll find a lot of such sessions. But let's read now. Let's read this one page and then tell me how do you feel about it. Let's read this valuable piece about manifestation. Dream on and dream big. But don't worry how it'll happen. Daily progress will get you there. Open your heart, but don't think too much about when you'll meet your person. Your patience will be worthwhile. Nourish your body, but don't put a time constraint on when you need to look and feel your best. Your body will transform once you remove the pressure. Splurge on experiences, but try not to stress about your finances. When you invest in yourself, money will always flow back. Plan your future, but don't forget to enjoy where you are. The present moment and our accomplishments are gifts we often take advantage of. Put your intentions out there, but detach from the outcome. It's preventing you from manifesting your desires. Embark on grand adventures, but also participate in the little spontaneous moments in your daily life. They are the source of your biggest joys and fulfillment. Release and let go, but don't forget to acknowledge the lessons learned. Your past made you who you are today. Find a creative outlet, but don't pressure yourself towards perfection. Your inner child just wants to play. Embrace your vulnerability, but don't overthink. Your emotional bravery will allow you to deepen your connection with others. Once you find the balance between it all, you will stumble upon serenity. So, this was a sample reading practice for you. This is how you're going to read. You will pick up some vocabulary. Right now, which vocabulary have you picked up from this page? Please type it in the comment section. I will know who these serious learners are. Give me your name. I must know the name of my learners. So, which vocabulary or a particular lovely sentence that you have picked up, type it in the comment section. Let's move on to week 2. Now, this week we are going to work on training our ears and tongue together. First one, our eyes were involved, but now this second week we are going to function more on listening to English, listening to more of English and then speaking it simultaneously. This process is called shadowing, and we have talked about it earlier on Skillfident. I have mentioned how you can do shadowing, but this time we are going to listen to more of English, but this has to be active listening. While listening to whoever you choose to listen to, while listening to that one person or while listening to that English, you will simply practice speaking the same text in your own way. I have numerous listening playlists where I have mentioned a lot of stories. I would recommend that you have to listen to more of stories. We as humans, we connect more with stories. We connect very easily with stories. So I would suggest that you too choose some stories. There are a lot of Learn English with Story sessions that I have uploaded for you. You can use them for all 7 days while you're listening and you practice speaking along with the speaker. So, this is what you can do. Shadowing helps you build your pronunciation. It helps you build a speech that you can easily form. When you are speaking, it also helps you in gaining that confidence that you're listening to somebody and you're also trying to speak like them. So, this helps you. But the listening has to be active listening. Now we still have to keep that diary along. Again, when you're listening to somebody, when you're listening to a story, make sure that you're noting down the new vocabulary, the new phrases, some wonderful expressions, if there are any phrasal verbs, or if there are any quotations, or if nothing else, for all 7 days, note down the moral of the story in 1 or 2 sentences. When you will go back and read what you had recorded, you'll feel amazing. So we are not only working on our language, we are also working on this mind. We want to become our better version, and for that, we have to be working hard on active listening. So, how to practice shadowing is something which we are going to do right now, right here. You are going to listen to an amazing story. This is one of my favorite stories. In fact, this is the best story. I have listened to so many stories. I've made you listen to so many stories from me, but this one is really special. So, right now, you're going to practice shadowing here. Listen to the story. What are you taking away from the story is what you have to type in the comment section. And along with that, you have to note down beautiful vocabulary. This is not a very simple English. You'll find a lot of new words, you'll find a lot of new expressions. So make sure that you're right now sitting with the diary. For week 2, all 7 days, you are going to listen to 7 different stories, which we begin today. So listen to the story and let me know how interesting you find it.
So here is a beautiful teacup story. There was a couple who took a trip to England to shop in a beautiful antique store to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary. They both liked antiques and pottery, and especially teacups. Spotting an exceptional cup, they asked, "May we see that? We've never seen a cup quite so beautiful." As the lady handed it to them, suddenly the teacup spoke. "You don't understand. I have not always been a teacup. There was a time when I was just a lump of clay. My master took me and rolled me, pounded and patted me over and over, and I yelled out, 'Don't do that. I don't like it. Let me alone.' But he only smiled and gently said, 'Not yet.' Then, wham! I was placed on a spinning wheel, and suddenly I was spun around and around and around. 'Stop it. I'm getting so dizzy. I'm going to be sick,' I screamed. But the master only nodded and said quietly, 'Not yet.' He spun me and poked and prodded and bent me out of shape to suit himself, and then he put me in the oven. I never felt such heat. I yelled and knocked and pounded at the door. 'Help! Get me out of here!' I could see him through the opening, and I could read his lips as he shook his head from side to side. 'Not yet.' When I thought I couldn't bear it another minute, the door opened. He carefully took me out and put me on the shelf, and I began to cool. Oh, that felt so good! Ah, this is much better, I thought. But after I cooled, he picked me up and he brushed and painted me all over. The fumes were horrible. I thought I would gag. "Oh, please, stop it, stop it," I cried. He only shook his head and said, "Not yet." Then suddenly he put me back into the oven. Only it was not like the first time. This was twice as hot, and I just knew I would suffocate. I begged, I pleaded, I screamed, I cried. I was convinced that I would never make it. I was ready to give up. Just then, the door opened and he took me out and again placed me on the shelf, where I cooled and waited, wondering what's he going to do to me next. An hour later, he handed me a mirror and said, "Look at yourself." And I did. I said, "That's not me. That couldn't be me. It's beautiful. I am beautiful." Quietly he spoke. "I want you to remember then," he said. "I know it hurt to be rolled and pounded and patted. But had I just left you alone, you would have dried up. I know it made you dizzy to spin around on the wheel. But if I had stopped, you would have crumbled. I know it hurt and it was hot and disagreeable in the oven. But if I hadn't put you there, you would have cracked. I know the fumes were bad when I brushed and painted you all over. But if I hadn't done that, you would never have hardened. You would not have had any color in your life. If I hadn't put you back in that second oven, you wouldn't have survived for long because the hardness would not have held. Now you are a finished product. Now you are what I had in mind when I first began with you. The moral of the story is this: God knows what He's doing for each of us. He is the potter and we are His clay. He will mold us and make us and expose us to just enough pressure of just the right kinds that we may be made into a flawless piece of work to fulfill His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So when life seems hard and you're being pounded and patted and pushed almost beyond endurance, when your world seems to be spinning out of control, when you feel like you are in a fiery furnace of trials, when life seems to stink, try this. Brew a cup of your favorite tea or coffee in your prettiest teacup. Sit down and think on the story, and then have a little talk with the potter.
So, my dear learners, how was the story? Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it a story that you feel is yours rather than that teacup story? Whenever you found that life is so difficult, you have somehow made through it, isn't it? I love this story. Let me know how did you find it. So this is how you're going to practice listening and shadowing. You have listened to a text. Now tell yourself or tell this same story to somebody, your family member, your sibling, or a friend, and ask them what they have learned. So, shadowing is something which we practice like this: listening to a text and then repeating that text in our own manner with our own way of speech. That is how we do it. So, all this second week is dedicated to shadowing. Now, the third week, since we have already trained our mind enough to speak good English, correct English, now we will work on polishing our sentences. And to polish our sentences, we have to incorporate some idioms, some new expressions, good vocabulary. So, this is what you're going to do. Now, deliberately pick words every day, note them down in your diary, write their meanings, and form one sentence. Every day, pick one expression or an idiom, note it down, write its meaning, and then create a sentence of your own. And during this whole third week, all 7 days, you are consciously going to use that expression when you're speaking in English. When you're speaking to a friend, you're speaking to somebody else, you're consciously going to use this one vocabulary word or expression. This will help you enhance your language skills. You cannot keep speaking basic English all your life. We have to level up. This is how we are going to level up. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's do a sample learning of new expressions here right now so that you know how you're going to do it. Since we are talking about training our brain, training our mind, why not just learn some new expressions with the word mind, how it is used in different forms, and how we can use it to enhance our English language speaking skills? Let's do it right here and make sure that you're noting each idiom or expression down and then you're using it. Here, we are not going to incorporate difficult vocabulary, difficult expressions. We'll keep it simple, but still we are leveling up. Listen to this one.
So the first expression with the word mind is change your mind. Change your mind. So we use this expression when we have to make a new decision about something. For example, I plan to go for a long drive, but I changed my mind when I heard the weather forecast. Is it clear? So you also have to use this expression, change your mind, and create one sentence from your end. The next expression is lose your mind. Lose your mind is an expression which we use when somebody is going mad, when they have lost their temper. For example, you must remember where you parked your car. Have you lost your mind that you are yelling on everybody else? So, this is how we use this lose your mind phrase. The next expression is peace of mind. Now, you all are aware of peace of mind. When we say peace of mind, we are talking about a state of calmness or simply being carefree. If I have to give you a very simple example, I would say peace of mind is more valuable than all the money in the world. Do you agree with me on this one? Okay, the next expression is be in two minds. Be in two minds. Now, being in two minds is used for a situation where you are unable to decide about something. You are not coming to a decision. A perfect example for this would be I am in two minds about the latest job offer. Maybe you're getting the job in another city and you don't want to leave your hometown, something like this. So use being in two minds like this when you are not decisive. The next one is cross your mind. Cross your mind. When a thought suddenly occurs to you, suddenly something come to your mind, a particular thought, then we use the expression cross your mind. Okay? We can give an example like I have almost forgotten about my school friend Priya, but I don't know how she crossed my mind today. So you can use cross your mind and also pass your mind when a thought has suddenly come into your mind. And similarly, The next expression is my mind went blank. My mind went blank when you forget everything. And this is something which happens to you whenever you try to speak in English. You say, ma'am, my mind suddenly goes blank. So start using this expression now. An example is, the teacher asked me a question, but my mind went blank. I couldn't remember anything. This was a simple one, and I'm sure that you already use it. The next expression is bear in mind or keep in mind. So we use keeping in mind for situations when we don't want to forget anything, when we tell somebody to remember something. Okay? So, an example is keep in mind that I'm not going to help you any longer. From now on, you are on your own. You keep asking for money from me, I'm not helping you. So keep it in your mind. So use keep it in your mind or bear it in your mind when you want somebody to remember something. Now, be open minded is another expression. Be open minded. Being open minded means that you're willing to consider different ideas or opinions, right? So you must have heard people saying he's an open minded person, like that. So let's take a very simple example. You can talk to me about anything. I am an open minded person. So we must all try to be a little open minded so that we can take opinions of other people easily, right? Okay, now bring to mind. Bring to mind is an expression which is used to make you remember something. When you are being able to remember something, is when we used bring to mind. Like when I was looking at an old family photo album, it brought to my mind some happy memories. How many of you still have those photo albums, the hard copy of pictures that were clicked with those cameras? Let me know if you still have it. So, bring to mind is a wonderful expression. Okay, the next expression is make up your mind. Make up your mind. It means making a decision. When you have to make a constructive decision, is when you use this phrase, make up your mind. Example is, I can't make up my mind whether to go on holiday to Masuri or to Manali. Like that. So, when you are unable to decide, when you are indecisive, then you use make up your mind. Alright, so these were some expressions with the word mind. Remember them and use them often so that they start sitting on your tongue.
Okay, so I hope that you have noted all the expressions down. You are going to use them now consciously. Make sure that you're using them. That's why when you note down something, it is easy for you to recall. Similarly, you can search for word of the days, you can search for some new words and simply create sentences and speak it once or twice. All 7 days, this is what you're going to do on your third week practice. During this whole third week practice, you're going to use a lot of vocabulary, a lot of expressions consciously. Paying attention to it separately is also important. Now let's come to week 4. We have practiced reading a page in the book today itself. We have practiced listening to a text and then speaking it in our own style, in our own way, shadowing, which we call it. We have also learned some new expressions. See, this is such a fruitful and valuable session for all the learners who are seriously interested in speaking fluent English by working on it on their own without joining any classes. So, this is a very amazing way of learning English. We are now graduating to week 4. Week 4 is all about describing situations, scenarios, or describing the people around you, whatever is happening in your life, giving yourself different situations and simply speaking about it is what we are going to do during this fourth week. If you are an observant person, you can simply observe your room and find whatever is there. If there is a clock, if there are some paintings on the wall, if there is a switchboard, if there is a calendar, almirah, what furniture is there, you can simply talk about it. Describing your room, describing a park, describing your school, describing your college, simple description. You can even create some situations. If you think that this is a very difficult task, how will you be able to do it? Let me give you 7 different tasks for 7 different days during this fourth week. So, this is actually a bonus practice work for you. You can call it your homework. Since we are doing the sample listening, sample reading, why not work on this one also? Note down the first question. Now, what you have to do, you have to describe this statement that I'm giving you. I'm not giving you a question to which you have to simply answer in English. No, this is not a question. I am giving you one sentence, a statement. Maybe you can call it a quotation. You have to describe it. So use your knowledge, use your skills to describe it and keep speaking for 4 5 minutes, right? The first one is true wisdom comes from experience. Note it down. True wisdom comes from experience. What do you think about it? Do you really think that yes, true wisdom comes from experience? Or people can simply be wise by sitting at one place? What do you think? Do you think we have to explore the world? We have to go through a lot of pain. We have to feel that heartbreak to be wise. What are your views about it? Simple. I have given you a statement. True wisdom comes from experience. Simply explain it. The second one is beauty is always in the eyes of beholder. Do you agree with this one? Beauty is always in the eyes of the beholder. Some people feel, no, it's not like that. If we feel that somebody is beautiful, that person is beautiful. I feel that yes, this is true. Beauty lies in the eyes of beholder, the person who we are looking at. We look at them through our perception. So it is always different from for everybody. And if you look at it correctly, this world is the reflection of our inner self. So what we are inside is generally how we see the rest of the world. You explain it in your own words. The third one, ill health begins in the mind. Ill health begins in the mind. What do you think about it? Do you think when your mind is convinced that you're not well, you're not healthy, something is wrong with you, automatically a disease starts to build in your body? Something, your body will give you some signals that something is not right. Do you think like that? Simply explain, nothing much. Fourth one, junk food's popularity relies on marketing. Junk food's popularity relies on marketing. This is what is happening. Isn't this the reality of today's time? That junk food is becoming so popular that people are finding it easy. They just have to spend money and they'll get it. The fast food, junk food, on the top of it, the Swiggy and Zomato is making it so accessible that we are so addicted to it. What are your views on it? That they have marketed it so beautifully that we have not even uh, opened our eyes to the fact that they are unhealthy. You have to share your views. Now, the fifth one, and this is my favorite. Real wealth is never measured in money. Real wealth is never measured in money. What do you think about it? What is real wealth? Is it love, relationships, your health? What is real wealth for you? You have to describe it to yourself. I'm just giving you a situation. So talk about it. Real wealth is never measured in money. The sixth one is life was better when technology was less advanced or there was no social media. Life was better when the technology was not so advanced or there was no social media. Well, I personally believe that it was much, much better. Technology has made us lazy. Technology has given us access to conduct such online classes for me as a teacher and for you to gain some knowledge, but it has caused an addiction. It has caused a fake need in all of us that we have to spend a lot of time scrolling through the reels, buying things that we don't need. A lot is happening. You might have completely different views. You might feel that no, it has created some beautiful opportunities for people. Simply express your views on the statement that life was better when technology was not advanced, like that. Okay, now the last one, day 7. Real learning doesn't occur in a classroom. Real learning doesn't occur in a classroom. Yes, we have seen 40 students sitting in one class and we feel that this is what real learning is happening. They are teaching us science, they are teaching us mathematics, they are teaching us languages, they are teaching us art, some sports session as well, social sciences, so many things are being taught. But is it the real learning? The moment we move to this world, when we face challenges, we start working, we start earning money, we have to get into relationships, we get married, we become parents, the picture changes completely. It is not that simple. We know that now is the time we have to work on ourselves, and that's what you're doing right now. We have to upgrade ourselves, we have to do some learning now. But this is how it has been happening. So what do you feel? Is that whole school thing, the classroom study that we have done, do you think those were the real lessons, or the real lessons are something which life teaches you? Express your views, and this is what you're going to do on your fourth week of this 4 week challenge. This is all about the 4 week challenge. I have given you samples for each week. Week 1 we'll be dedicating to training our mind by reading more, reading correct English, picking out vocabulary. Week 2 is all about practicing shadowing and picking out vocabulary, phrases, expressions. Week 3 will all be dedicated to consciously working on new expressions, idioms, and building vocabulary. Week 4 is describing statements, situations, events, people, surroundings. Simple description, speaking for 5 minutes every day. That's what you have to do. I hope by the end of the fourth week, you are a more confident, a more fluent, and a good English speaker. My best wishes are always with you. Keep practicing your English and end this challenge on a positive note. I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Till then, take care. Bye bye for now.